All right. So our goal right now is to hack a Redact PDF front-end page as fast as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does have to work. I'm cheating a little bit, and I'm going to use my pre-existing code base for DocuPanda, which is the SaaS that I own, and basically just alter it and get rid of things until it gets to the point where it's a serviceable software as a service that does PDF redaction. So you could say, okay, well, what do I do if I don't already own like a functional SaaS? Guess what you do? So you can go on many solutions that offer a pre-existing template that includes authentication, includes a front end that probably looks nicer than what you're seeing right now, includes database connection and everything, and with a walkthrough on how to get everything set up. So I've named some of these examples in my blog post. DivJoy is slightly outdated, but absolutely works. Versal templates absolutely work. They're very minimal. And there's, for example, Materials UI templates that look very good and give you like all the things. So, I'm not going to tell you which one to use. You need to find the thing that for your skill set would be the fastest to move forward with. If you are not a very strong coder, maybe you'll want to use low code solutions like Bubble. It's really up to you, and I can't answer this for you on which starting points you want to start with. But I'm starting with this, right? Let's say this is a template, right? I'll think of making this into a publicly available template too. I'll have to think about it. Anyway, let's say this is our template. Changing the language from our template to whatever we want. It's like, redact every piece of sensitive information, every PII. That's from a PDF, from your PDF, whatever. You don't need me to tell you how to change text or replace this with an image that is relevant to our actual product and so on. Like that's trivial. You can do that. The part I think maybe that's more interesting is to see how we can hack together the actual tool, right? So let's talk about that. Let's just go through the onboarding flow for a bit. Fake email at gmail.com, whatever. So when a user signs up, the way my current template is set up is they go to a page called onboarding, and then something happens. So let's go to that page, and then replace what happens with what we want to happen, right? This page doesn't load, and I don't even care why, because our goal is to change it, right? So let's just see what component actually gets exported here. Rasterize page, So I'm just going to replace, basically, like, this entire component doesn't matter, right? Like, we're gonna get rid of it. Redact doc. Okay. Again, I don't think we need to spend too much time understanding my specific template. I will say generally what you're looking at right now is React front-end code. It would be very familiar to anyone who's used React, and specifically React and React and Materials UI. There you go. Hi, great. So let's do something somewhat semi-sane, semi-reasonable. What did I do? Oops, yeah, okay. Text align. Well, okay, let's not spend our time on this. Here's your PDF, annotated, whatever. Okay, so what's our actual goal? Our goal is to build a React Materials UI component that starts with a URL to a PDF and a list of rectangles that are the current reductions we want to apply to the PDF. Because remember, our product will have a backend that generates a list of such proposals, right? It will be like, oh, maybe there's a bank account here, maybe there's a first name here, et cetera, et cetera. So, this will be our starting point, and we want our users to be able to review it, change it around, create new rectangles, and potentially hit the save button and have all those rectangles just overlaid on the PDF and smooshed in there. So let's go ahead and start hacking. Okay, let's create a new component, call it PDF annotator, and let's ask GPT to create this component for us because we're lazy and we're trying to hack as fast as possible. So here, let's get cracking. Okay, hi GPT. My goal is to create a React Materials UI front-end component that does the following. Gets an initial list of rectangles. A rectangle has XY, XY, and page and type, which is a string. XY, XY is upper left corner and lower left corner in fractions. So 0.1 equals 10%. This is just me explaining like what input it's going to get, right? So it's going to get this list of rectangles in this format. The reason I'm choosing this format is because that's what my backend is going to give me. That's what that's how DocuPanda generates its rectangles. Okay, great. It gets a URL to a PDF, which matches these rectangles. The user needs to be able to move rectangles around, create new rectangles, and they should be able to hit save. And which will just send the URL and the rectangles to our backend. Okay, let's think for a moment. Is that all we want? It's always a good idea to ask GPT to do a good job and not a bad job. It's ridiculous, but I found it generally useful. So make sure your output is the highest UI quality standards conforming to the way very polished React Materials UI programs work. Use React Materials UI v4. Okay, so GPT thought about this for 142 seconds, which is, I think, the longest I've ever made it think for. So hopefully we'll have something to show for it. That's insane. It usually doesn't think for quite so long. Let's see if there is something to show for it. So first thing first, it seems to need a new dependency. Let's just install it without thinking. Okay. I'm going to debug this dependency without recording it because it's too boring to see why npm install failed. So hang on. All right. So I pasted the code that the GPT gave me and supplied a URL to some PDF. It's just a random PDF I grabbed from the internet. Should be familiar to any American viewers. Anyway, I've supplied the PDF and an empty list of rectangles and just let it run, and we get failed to load PDF file. So that sucks, but that's life. Like GPT will often give you code that only kind of works and doesn't actually. So, this is the code. This is the code that I got, and we can see that ultimately just does something like file equals PDF URL. So let's see if that makes sense. It looks like GPT made shit up, right? Like the document expects file to be a file and not a URL. So how about we start off by just chiding our good friend GPT and telling it it's screwed up. And we'll open a new session just because we don't want the context to be too long. I suspect maybe this is an easy enough problem that GPT-01 Mini can handle, and it's faster, so I'll try that. File equals URL, PDF URL seems broken. A file object is expected. Fix it. And anticipating a potential failure, here's how I would make GPT handle it. If it doesn't intuitively understand, like remember what's the signature of the document object, I can just give it the actual docs, and yeah, let's see if the docs actually answer a question. URL can be a URL, a file. Yeah, let's give it the docs. First I'll try its attempt at solving the problem, and if it fails, I'm just gonna copy paste the docs. No PDF file specified. Okay, so that's wrong. So let's go back and edit our prompt. Why won't it let me edit? Oh yeah, now it should let me edit, I think. Except it doesn't. Okay, then instead of editing the prompt, I'm just gonna copy paste the prompt and start a new conversation. Okay, so now we wanna give it the docs. Here's relevant docs. So now all I've done is I went to the definition of what this document object expects and just pasted all of the docs. I think from these docs you can figure it out. I think I may have already figured it out, or may have not. We'll see. Am I in the right place? No. Oh, because I have two chat windows. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's grab this guy. It's saying a lot of words. And this is the good stuff. Don't give me words. Give me the actual solution. We're lazy monkeys. So I'm intentionally being flippantly lazy here. My goal is not to lean too much on my knowledge as a front end, but to more demonstrate how you can get away with not knowing a lot. And hacking at things. So, of course, at some point in a real life project, you would get stuck, right? And need to think more, or, read through your own code and stuff like that. Okay, so fails yet again. This actually surprises me. Ensure this is a valid URL string. It is. It is. So it thinks it should work, even though I don't think this should work. Okay. First attempt. Do the same thing with 01. So for those who don't know, O1 is just our smartest, slowest beast for coding. I find for many jobs, O1 mini is good enough, like, gets to the right answer and takes like 1/3 of the time or whatever, or 1/10. I don't, yeah, way faster. But if it fails, I am pretty sure that the link is publicly available because I can access it. So I can't imagine how, yeah. So it says, here's the difference you actually want to do. You want to give it URL. Is URL file with the URL? Yes, I think now it got it. I think that's what I expected to see. Yes, great. So let's see if now it gets it, right? So it says, look, the crux of the change is we have like document file just that's not the signature. What we expect is to have file be a dictionary that contains the property URL. I think this is right. I'm not sure why GPT or Mini got that one wrong. Oh no, it still doesn't work. Okay, it's raising a good point about course. Let's see if there's any course restrictions about that's preventing us from showing. No. Let's print the error. Let's see if this guy gives us an error. What? I'll take a beat. I don't want to bore you with. All right, so I was finally able to debug this, and actually GPT was good. I was bad. I gave a link to a PDF that, while accessible to everyone on the internet, isn't accessible to anyone on the internet from their browser. It's called course limitation, and it wasn't open. Like the course config of whatever the example PDF I was using limited people from accessing it from browsers in random places, which made sense. So anyway, I uploaded the PDF to my own AWS S3 bucket and with open course configs, and now we can the PDF annotator is able to load the PDF and show a rectangle. And the reason it shows one randomly placed rectangle is because that's the input I gave it, right? So of course, eventually we'll integrate with our own backend that takes the PDF, makes a prediction about where we want to do these redactions, and take it from there. But okay, so this is pretty good. But something that's clearly missing here is that I can't move the rectangle around. So not amazing. By the way, let's give it a more friendly name. Yeah. So anyway, our page is super simple, right? Like all it does is it loads the PDF annotator. PDF annotator is not super simple. All it does is overlays rectangles on the PDF, loads the PDF. But unfortunately, even though it has a lot of trappings of look at me, I'm handling mouse click, I'm handling mouse up, nothing works, right? Like none of this works. So let's get cracking. Let's blame GPT and tell it to think long and hard about what it's done. Problem: clicking on rectangles does nothing, can't move them around. So we're in a state where we are just trying to get anything working at all. So we're not worried too much about blindly copy and pasting, right? Like we're just trying to get it to work. At some point, we'll be at the point where we have something that's worth keeping, and then we will have to work harder. Okay, so interesting. It kind of sort of works, right? So one thing that's nice is that I can finally move rectangles around. Something that's not nice is that I can't resize them, and that whenever I click, I also generate a new rectangle see what happens every time I try to move a rectangle, it spawns another one. So let's give this feedback, and now let's take it up a notch. Let's talk to O1 preview. So 2 problems. Every time I click, a new rectangle pops up. That's not good. We should be able to no, that's not good. Well, let's keep it at that. We'll figure out when we want to create a new rectangle after. Also, I can't resize the rectangles. Change aspect ratio, standard resize behavior when you click on the corner of a rectangle. Consider using a third-party React module for this and not hacking it. So this is, by the way, one of the weird behaviors, or not weird, but like standard behaviors that you get from GPT, is that sometimes it's overly keen on solving a problem from scratch, using only like native Python, only native JavaScript. I have some suspicions about why it does that. But anyway, yeah, it's thinking that maybe React R&D is a good idea. Let's give it a chance. All right, so GPT generated a bunch of new code and the dependency called R&D, React R&D. This will hopefully give us what we want. So let's go here. And yeah, very cool. I can click. Can I resize? Seems to be hard to resize though. Oh, there you go. Okay, we're gonna give it some feedback that it's maybe too hard to resize. Like you have to really snipe the location of the edge of a rectangle. But yeah, overall pretty good. Also, it looks like only the okay. So let's give a round of feedback to GPT. So one is it looks like only the bottom right, and yeah, it looks yeah, seems to be very hard to snipe the edge of the border, like the borders, so we can resize it. Like you have to be 2 pixel perfect, I would say, for a human, a fallible human like myself at least. And what else? What else don't I like about this? Oh yeah, so something like I would call quality of life improvement. We want to communicate to the user this is the rectangles of the thing that they're gonna redact eventually. So ideally we'd want to overlay like an X in the middle, so we know this is the thing that's gonna be redacted, right? And then maybe we'll add like apply redaction, and of course we want the select and draw to be closer to the actual PDF, so like it feels like a toolbar that actually has something to do with the PDF itself. So yeah, let's give that feedback. Okay, a few points. Let's break down our points of feedback one by one, though, because we know that if you ask for too many things at once, you get nothing. So yeah, so. What's our complaints? Complaints are, 1, it's too hard to snipe the exact edges of the rectangle. Give it some wiggle so the user can click to resize a rectangle even if near the rectangle and not pixel perfect. It's a wiggle. Let's be more precise with our language. Okay, what's our second problem here? Yeah, overlay. Yeah, okay. Try to make each rectangle red and pass an X shape through it. So top left to bottom right, bottom left to top right, both straight lines, to indicate to the user that these are redaction rectangles. Do I want to get greedy and try to also ask for our last point? No, let's keep it at that. All right, GPT Mini did a somewhat reasonable job at this. So it's now easier to snipe the edges of the rectangle. Indeed, for some reason, even though I said overlay 1x, it did 2. Now there's multiple ways to look at this. One would be to say, oh, I don't like it, and let's keep fighting GPT, and that's probably what I'm going to do after this little recorded session. And the other is to say, whatever, because we are building MVP. Our goal here is to launch today, so maybe I'll give it another hack or two and give up on it. So I want to make this overly long and bore you with me prompting GPT again and again for small things, but the idea is hopefully clear. I'm going to maybe screenshot this and ask GPT for, hey, can you make this into a more reasonable UI for where one usually would put controlling tools like select and draw, and so on and so forth, right? I'll just, again, you can't always get away with yeah. Now I realize I have one more issue, which is we need to also add a delete button and so on and so forth. But the idea is, even if you can't always get away with just blindly asking GPT like a helpless baby, you can get incredibly far just by doing that. So don't be intimidated by not knowing how to front end or how to back end or how to do anything in particular. We are living in an exciting new age of entrepreneurship where a lot of the problems that used to be harder barriers to acquiring, to solving stuff are going away. So, and it will just keep getting easier as AI gets stronger, smarter, and more helpful. So hopefully this was a useful enough, 10-minute snippet of building Pdf-Redact. Our next steps are going to be add a save button, maybe wrap it with a bit of business logic that says, if the user is not subscribed, pop up an overlay that says, hey, you got to subscribe to actually save the result. And that's it, and we're golden. And the other component to our puzzle is, how do we even propose automatically generated redaction rectangles, and that part is already covered in a video that I've made. So the short answer is, I'm using docupanda.io, my SaaS that can do all kinds of things with documents, and just calling it to get that functionality. So Docupanda is not a PDF redaction tool. It's a tool to find stuff on documents, and it could be rent, could be amounts, could be anything, but it could be the list of PII, because again, Docupanda is smart, and of course it leans on AI. So finding all the sensitive information in a document is completely within what Docupanda can do. And I think it's kind of cool to show how we can leverage that API to hack a new product. You can use whatever you like, right? I'm sure that in your life you've encountered a use case, a problem that needs to be solved and can be solved to some extent with existing tools before you start building stuff from scratch. And you can launch it, you can see if people are actually going to use it, and if people are pulling out their credit cards, if people are responding, if you are starting to understand what's the real problem that you need to solve to get people to use you at reasonable scale, then you can double click on something and rebuild it from scratch, or or amalgamate many tools to get the problem solved, or whatever the case may be. So I hope this was useful to you, and I hope it inspires at least one viewer to just get cracking and build something. Try it. It's fun.